Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 322 based on novel. So let's start. Everyone present felt their scalps tingle and quickly scattered. As for the ancient devil, he looked at the approaching ancient devil clan with excitement in his eyes. The All-Seer struggled to stand up in the distance and coughed out a mouthful of blood. The calmness in his eyes collapsed and his left hand ruthlessly ripped off what remained of the second seal. At this instant, the All-Seer's roar echoed across the world. He released an aura several times more powerful than before. This aura was so strong that even the primordial battlefield seemed like it was going to collapse. Wang Lin! Come out for me! The All-Seer let out a roar. His appearance changed greatly after the second seal was removed. He went from a 50-year-old middle-aged man to a man in his prime around the age of 30. His hair was completely black and he emitted an extremely powerful aura. Tearing off the second seal had released his second Heaven's Blight cultivation level. This was already his limit. He didn't dare to casually release his third Heaven's Blight. Wang Lin was only a small cultivator who had shocked him again and again. That law of origin was already extremely powerful. The All-Seer thought that was Wang Lin's ace, so he didn't think Wang Lin would still have this kind of spell when pushed into a corner. Wang Lin, come out! The All-Seer roared angrily at the sky. However, just as his voice echoed, a buzzing sound came from the world. I'm right in front of you. That sound was several times more violent than thunder, and it replaced all other sounds on the battlefield. This sound echoed in everyone's ears. Some of the cultivators whose cultivation levels were lacking bled from their ears and their miserable screams echoed. Even the All-Seer was startled. He raised his head to follow the voice, but as soon as he did so, his face turned pale and he sucked in a breath of cold air. The figure that was far larger than any 8-star ancient god appeared before the All-Seer and everyone else. This figure was also so large, it was impossible to describe. The All-Seer couldn't even see the face of this figure. He could only see up to their waist. The moment the All-Seer raised his head, he heard a strange whistling sound. It was as if something from above was coming down, but it was going so fast that there was friction with the air. In an instant, a powerful gust of wind descended from the sky. This gust was very strong, and the moment it landed on the ground, it caused the ground to crack. The cultivators of the Alliance collapsed under this powerful gust of wind. Even those Celestials were filled with fear. In particular, the Celestial Lord from the Alliance revealed unspeakable terror and his body trembled when he saw this figure. Even with his cultivation level and mental strength, his body trembled and cold sweat soaked his body. His eyes were locked onto the sky, and he seemed like he wanted to say something. However, he began to laugh like crazy, but his laughter contained a hint of madness. It was like he had just experienced some kind of unimaginable stimulation that caused him to go crazy. He coughed out a mouthful of blood, but this former Celestial Lord was still going crazy. He constantly retreated until he disappeared to somewhere in the world. This sudden scene startled everyone. However, they didn't have time to think, as the gust of wind from the sky became even stronger. Someone looked up at the sky and saw a black dot in the distance. This black dot became larger and larger. In an instant, as the wind became even more intense, the black dot turned out to be an unimaginably large fist. It was like a piece of land that was going to come crashing down, and the shadow it casted replaced the sky. The All-Seer's expression became very serious. His aura reached a peak and he threw the trident into the air. Then his hands formed seals and his robe moved as if there was some gas moving within his clothes. He opened his arms and then his body erupted with his peak second Heaven's Blight cultivation as he charged into the sky. The giant fist descended like crazy, creating sonic booms as it closed in on the trident. There was a loud bang and crackling sounds came from the trident. Just as it was about to collapse, the giant hand grabbed it, and the fist continued to descend with the trident in hand. The fist collided with the All-Seer. Rumble, 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 rumble. The heaven-shaking sound and unimaginable impact spread out like crazy. It was as if a curtain was removed and the entire primordial battleground disappeared under this impact. The world returned to normal and the vortex outside the demon spirit land disappeared. Those planets also returned to their positions. Even the demon spirit land was the same as before, there was no change. The only thing that changed was that now there was a crazy person, many Alliance cultivators had disappeared, and everyone was shocked. Popping sounds came from inside the Allseer's body and he fell to the ground. He then coughed out a mouthful of blood with pieces of internal organs mixed in. Behind him was ancient devil Targio. Thank you, the Allseer's voice was hoarse and he coughed out another mouthful of blood. Ancient devil Targio's face was also pale. At that moment, he resisted with the Allseer. This was the only way to save his life from that unbelievable spell. Wang Lin's body fell from the sky before the Allseer. The moment he landed, he coughed out blood and there was a trace of blue light in his right eye. However, that blue light immediately collapsed, and along with it went the Azure light shield. The shield shattered completely. There was one more thing in Wang Lin's hand, the Allseer's trident. At this moment, Wang Lin didn't have any power left to fight, and even his legs were trembling. If not for his determination honed from over 1,000 years of cultivation, he would have already fallen. Mu Bingmai was startled by all of this, and she was still shocked by what she saw. Even the brilliant void old man looked at Wang Lin with a very different gaze. Mu Bingmai's words gradually echoed in his ears. He is not an ordinary cultivator. The surrounding Alliance cultivators all looked at Wang Lin with dread and fear. That scene just now was something they could never forget. That realistic primordial battleground, the miserable scene, and that incomparable figure left an unerasable mark in their minds. Even though Wang Lin had no more fighting power, none of them dared to take a step forward. At this moment, their hearts were still pounding violently from what just happened and hadn't calmed down. Wang Lin's figure seemed to overlap with that incomparably large figure in their minds. As he stood there, he gave off an invisible sense of majesty. The brilliant void old man looked at Wang Lin and let out a sigh. The person before him made him think of the four divine sects' white tiger. The white tiger back then was able to block countless powerful cultivators from the Alliance and the brilliant void realm by himself. Even after he died, he made his enemies not dare to get close for a very long time. Wang Lin had completely become famous in this battle at the Demon Spirit Land. Although his cultivation level wasn't the highest, no one dared to casually offend him. Wang Lin, you must die. The Allseer looked at Wang Lin and raised his right hand. However, before he could use a spell, the sky above changed once more and a person stepped out. This person was middle-aged, but he was only here with his origin soul, yet he gave off a dignified aura. Behind him were dozens of people. There were people from the Azure Dragon Divine Sect, the Black Tortoise Divine Sect, and the White Tiger Divine Sect. Behind these dozens of people, there were numerous members of the Four Divine Sect. Their arrival seemed to make the world change colors and thunder rumble across the sky. This caused everyone to raise their heads. Who dares to kill our future Divine Emperor before me? The middle-aged man was the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor. His voice was calm, but the moment that his voice came out, it caused the Demon Spirit Land to tremble. Many people on the ground retreated as if they couldn't withstand this voice. A lot of old friends have come, the middle-aged man looked around. Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor, the Allseer's expression became gloomy. Compared to the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor, the Allseer was a junior. In the Alliance, aside from a few people, not many could match the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor in seniority. The middle-aged man appeared before Wang Lin with one step. He carefully looked at Wang Lin before he revealed a smile of admiration and nodded. Good. Good. Although it was only 2 words, they were enough to reveal his satisfaction with Wang Lin. In truth, he had already arrived, but the reason he didn't appear was because he had taken this chance to test Wang Lin. The truth was that Wang Lin made him very satisfied. Now this battle will end. The Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor's eyes lit up and revealed a fierce gaze. He raised his right hand, a piece of white stone appeared. The moment this stone appeared, an extremely hot energy appeared in the world. The space around it began to distort as if it shouldn't exist and was being rejected. The moment the stone appeared, it melted into a drop of burning blood, and it floated above the middle-aged man's hand. Anyone who looked at this drop of blood would feel as if they had just swallowed a mouthful of fire, and heat appeared in their hearts. The brilliant void old man stared at the thing in the vermilion bird divine emperor's hand and said, "The vermilion bird divine sect's treasure from primordial times." The moment the red drop of blood appeared, a flame that didn't seem to belong to this world swept across the sky. This world was now enveloped in a red light. In the end, this flame that shouldn't exist in this world gathered in the southern part of the sky and formed a vermilion bird. It let out a cry and looked down upon everyone with an aura of nobility. At the same time, the several elders of the Azure Dragon Divine sect beside the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor looked at each other. The elder in front with 9 Azure Dragons embroidered on his robe took a deep breath and formed a seal before his chest. He then let out a roar and a powerful aura spread out. At the same time, he revealed a painful expression as the clothes around his chest melted, revealing his skin. Green light flashed from his chest and something floated out. It was a piece of green wood. The moment the green wood appeared, roars of dragons echoed across the world. Countless azure dragons hundreds of thousands of feet long appeared in the endless starry sky. The roars of the azure dragons echoed across the sky. It set off an incredible ripple that scattered in all directions. A violent wind that wanted to disrupt the norm was set off. In the end, these azure dragons gathered in the east and formed a very large azure dragon. It was called together as it looked at everyone with a ruthless gaze. Similarly, 7 elders from the White Tiger Divine Sect sat down in a formation and formed seals. Golden light flashed from between their eyebrows and 7 pieces of broken metal flew out from their heads. After the 7 pieces of broken metal appeared, they fused together to form a piece of metal with an irregular shape. However, another change occurred in the sky after the metals fused. The roar of a tiger suddenly appeared and shocked the world. An intense killing intent swept the area, and the cultivators with weak minds were almost scared out of their wits. What followed the roar of the tiger was an incredibly large white tiger. This white tiger looked extremely ferocious, as if it would attack any living creature. As it floated in the air, its red eyes swept past everyone and arrived on the west side of the sky. The last sect to take out their holy treasure was the Black Tortoise Divine Sect. After the betrayal of the Black Tortoise Divine Emperor, the sect was split in half, and due to the attack of the Alliance, there were very few people left in their sect. Although they had grown, there were still very few left. Only 3 elders had come. The moment they closed their eyes, a wave of water appeared and swept the area. As the monstrous wave swept across the sky, a giant black tortoise appeared. This black tortoise looked a little bleak. It let out a long hiss and the water under it pushed it to the north end. However, compared to the other 3 divine beasts, this black tortoise was obviously lacking. The 4 divine beasts were in position. The azure dragon to the east, the white tiger to the west, the vermilion bird to the south, and the black tortoise to the north. Although all of this sounds long, but the 4 divine beasts appeared in a very short period of time and surrounded the sky. The All-Seer's expression became gloomy. Ancient Devil Targior also stared at the 4 divine beasts and revealed a cold gaze. The Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor had come prepared. He waved his right hand, causing the drop of blood in his hand to fly out toward the Vermilion Bird in the south and fuse with it. The Vermilion Bird immediately let out a hiss, and the flames around it became even stronger. It charged straight at the All-Seer and Ancient Devil Targior. At the same time, the Azure Dragon, the White Tiger, and the Black Tortoise Divine Sects all did the same. The 3 divine beasts let out roars and charged down, causing an unimaginable impact to spread. The All-Seer's expression turned gloomy and his right hand formed a seal. He then pointed forward and shouted, "Heavenly Fate 7-colored Tiger Spirit." After he spoke, there was a flash of 7-colored light, and from inside this light, a 7-colored tiger appeared. This tiger was as big as the white tiger, and pounced at the white tiger. Heavenly Fate 7-colored Dragon Spirit. Heavenly Fate 7-colored Tortoise Spirit. After the All-Seer shouted, a 7-colored dragon and 7-colored tortoise appeared. They let out a roar and rushed out. Then the All-Seer himself formed a seal and charged at the sky. As ancient devil Tarjio stared at the four divine beasts, there was a hint of fear in his eyes. These four holy treasures felt somewhat familiar to him. Deep within his memories, he seemed to have seen them before. This wasn't Qing Lin's memories, but his ancient devil memories. Ancient devil Tarjio pointed at the sky and shouted, "Sun, moon, star triple burial." At this moment, the sky occupied by the four divine beasts was covered in starlight. This starlight appeared very suddenly and shot at the four divine beasts. After the starlight came moonlight. It broke through all the chaos in the world and arrived here. The moonlight was invisible and seemed to appear from nowhere, like an illusion. The moonlight was followed by the first of the three burial spells and also the strongest, sun burial. The moment ancient devil Tarjio used this spell, light from the void outside the demon spirit land began to gather at one point. As more and more light gathered, the point of light became larger and larger. The harsh light filled the sky and illuminated everything. After the point of light absorbed all this light, it grew until it was almost 10,000 feet wide. The light from it was very powerful. If a mortal looked at it, their eyes would burst open. If a cultivator's cultivation level was too low, then their eyes would be pierced too. At this moment, this ball of light was like a sun. It whistled directly toward the dust particle the demon spirit land was in. The All-Seer waved his sleeves and charged at the four divine beasts in the air. The vermilion bird divine emperor shook his head and calmly said, "Watch. My four divine sect's four holy treasures only have 3 styles, but just these 3 styles are enough to allow my four divine sect to exist forever." His words were naturally directed toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's body was extremely weak, but he still raised his head to look up. The eastern azure dragon Jiai wood, western white tiger Gengshi metal, southern vermilion bird Bingding fire, and northern black tortoise Renkue water. At the same time, the same words came from the remaining 3 divine sects. Jiao spirit, Geng spirit, Ren spirit. After this was said, the 4 divine beasts in the sky let out roars and then turned into weapons. The azure dragon turned into a blue spear, the white tiger turned into a golden blade, the vermilion bird turned into a red longsword, and the black tortoise turned into a black axe. The 4 weapons formed by the 4 divine beasts charged downward. The dragon spirit the All-Seer had summoned was pierced through by the blue spear without any resistance and collapsed. The remaining 2 spirits were the same. They weren't able to stop the first style of the 4 holy treasures. They collapsed and were blown away by the attacks of the holy treasures. Ancient devil Tarjio's starlight arrived, but the starlight was penetrated by the 4 holy treasures and disintegrated. As for the moonlight, it only resisted for a little before dissipating. The 4 holy treasures charged at the All-Seer and ancient devil Tarjio. At this moment, the sky brightened. It was the ancient devil's sun burial that was closing in. This giant ball of light came in through the broken sky of the demon spirit land, and its light enveloped the land. Sun burial was one of Qing Lin's most powerful spells. Although ancient devil Tarjio hadn't used it correctly, it was not weak. As this light filled the sky, the 4 divine treasures gathered and a powerful aura appeared to collide with the light. A thunderous rumble echoed, and at this moment, the vermilion bird divine emperor's eyes became cold. His hand formed a seal and then he pointed forward and shouted, "By my will as the vermilion bird divine emperor, I command the holy treasures to fuse into one, Ding Earth." At the same time, the people controlling the other 3 treasures shouted, "Yi Earth, Shin Earth, Kuei Earth." As their voices echoed, the 4 holy treasures shined and gathered on the vermilion bird's red longsword. In an instant, the red longsword grew like crazy until it looked like it could split the heavens and earth. At the same time, the weapons formed by the azure dragon, the white tiger, and the black tortoise appeared behind it. This red longsword pressed down on the ancient devil. The pressure from just descending few dozen feet immediately caused the entire demon spirit land to tremble. The earth sank in, forming a basin. Ancient devil Tarjio's eyes shined red, but he couldn't hide the fear in his eyes. This scene caused all the Alliance cultivators to suck in breaths of cold air, and their eyes filled with horror. They had only heard that the 4 divine sects' 4 holy treasures were so powerful that even the brilliant Void Realm was extremely afraid of them. At this moment, they saw them with their own eyes for the first time and were shaken deeply. They were unable to forget the almost forgotten four divine sect. Mu Bingmai looked at the four divine beasts and gradually frowned. However, after glancing at Wang Lin, her mood became extremely complex and she no longer paid any attention to the four holy treasures. The brilliant void old man stared at the sky, and there was a hint of fear in his eyes. He knew that these four holy treasures were not perfect and that there was a flaw. The flaw was the black tortoise holy treasure. The real black tortoise holy treasure should be in the hand of the Cultivation Alliance. In the hands of the former black tortoise divine emperor, the brilliant void old man's eyes lit up. Ancient devil Ta Jio's body released endless devilish energy and formed a giant devil shadow above him. This devil shadow was about to charge into the sky. However, as the red longsword pressed down, the devil shadow let out a groan, and its whole body was pressed down. Just as the red longsword slashed down, the devil shadow raised its arms in an attempt to resist. However, with a bang, the devil shadow's arms collapsed and weren't able to stop the red longsword at all. Fear filled ancient devil Ta Jio's eyes. Others may not know the origin of the four holy treasures, but as he observed them, he became even more sure about his speculation. This is the primordial heavenly Tao treasure. Ancient devil gasped. The devil shadow above him rumbled and wasn't able to stop the sword at all. The sword split the devil shadow in half and charged at Ta Jio. Just at this moment, the All-Seer revealed a decisive look. He waved his sleeve and his body was surrounded in seven-colored light. He then took a deep breath before pointing up and shouting, "Heavenly fate, seven colors, will of the heavens, red." After he spoke, his body trembled. The red light separated from the seven-colored light around him and shot at the longsword descending on ancient devil Ta Jio. Orange. The orange light separated from the remaining six colors. The All-Seer shouted the name of each color, and all seven colors split off one by one. They fused together and shot forward as a ray of rainbow light. Seven lights fuse into one and form the diagram of the heavens. The All-Seer's black hair moved without any wind. With that last roar, the seven-colored light immediately rotated, forming a seven-colored vortex. 3 pieces of wood shell appeared from within the vortex. The All-Seer grabbed them and threw them forward. The 3 wooden shells collided with each and fell to form a diagram. The All-Seer stared at the diagram as his hands formed a seal, then he pointed. Borrowing fate to form Tao. After he spoke, an indescribable aura came out from the 3 wooden shells. The moment this aura appeared, even the red longsword paused for a moment. It was as if a power was about to awaken from the 3 wooden shells and was about to charge out. The moment this power spread out, everyone was shocked. The brilliant void old man's eyes narrowed as he looked at the All-Seer with a mysterious light in his eyes. This All-Seer's Tao. So it turns out to not the heavenly fate, it's borrowing the heavenly fate to form his own Tao. See. This person was actually able to cultivate Tao with this kind of idea and was able to build such a domain. He has almost caught a glimpse of Tao. Even ancient devil Ta Jio seemed to see through some clue and gasped. There was shock in his eyes as he looked at the All-Seer. Wang Lin stared at the aura coming out from the 3 pieces of wooden shell. He remembered this aura very well. Inside his bag, there were some crystals he had taken from the skull of the 8-star ancient god. The aura from those crystals was exactly the same as the aura from the wooden shells. Seeing the aura from the wooden shells become stronger, the vermilion bird divine emperor's eyes narrowed. Without hesitation, his right hand pointed forward and he activated the 3rd style of the vermilion bird holy treasure on his own. He shouted, "Fire heaven!" The red longsword let out a loud sword hymn and flames spread out. The flames filled the sky and even spread out through the hole in the sky. In an instant, half of the star field was covered in flames. An aura similar to that of the wooden shells appeared from within the sword, but it was even stronger. When the vermilion bird divine emperor's finger pointed down, the sword sliced down. It collided with the 3 pieces of wooden shell. Rumble, rumble, rumble. A deafening sound was followed by a powerful shockwave. The 3 pieces of wood directly collapsed, and even the 7-colored vortex behind it was torn apart. The All-Seer coughed out a mouthful of blood and retreated like crazy. That long sword pressed down, broke through all obstacles, and landed on Taagio's forehead. At this moment, dense, black mist gathered between Taagio's eyebrows and his true ancient devil body appeared. He charged out form between his eyebrows with the intent to reverse even the heavens. He was an ancient devil, a member of one of the three ancient orders, a heaven-defying clan. As the sword pressed down, the ancient devil's angry roar echoed across the world. However, the moment his true spirit appeared, the long sword flashed red. It was the drop of blood that had fused with the holy treasure. It unexpectedly flew out from the sword and landed directly between the ancient devil's eyebrows. This blood isn't primordial heaven's Tao, ancient devil Taagio let out a scream. The area between his eyebrows seemed to melt and the drop of blood penetrated through. His true spirit was forced back into Qinglin's body. Just as he was about to retreat, the blood landed between Qinglin's eyebrows and formed a scarlet seal. Ancient devil Taagio's body trembled and immediately fell on the ground. The vermilion bird divine emperor's origin soul became blurred. He was only here with his origin soul, and activating the holy treasure had consumed a lot of origin energy. If it was only opening the first and second styles, it wouldn't have been much, but he was the only one who could open the third style. However, the price was difficult to bear, even for him. His body became even more blurred, but he waved his hand. The red longsword flew out after the retreating Allseer. In an instant, the longsword closed in and slashed at the Allseer's head. After this slash, the azure dragon spear, white tiger blade, and black tortoise axe all appeared. It was obvious that the vermilion bird divine emperor had the intent to kill. The Allseer's expression was ferocious and his head jerked up. At this moment of crisis, his right hand reached between his eyebrows and ripped the third seal halfway off. Even though only it was half torn off, an unimaginable aura 10 times stronger exploded to resist the blow from the four holy treasures. Thunder rumbles echoed and a shockwave spread. The Allseer coughed out blood as he continued to retreat. In the blink of an eye, he opened space and disappeared. The red longsword floated motionlessly in the air. The vermilion bird divine emperor silently pondered as his body became more transparent. Looking at where the Allseer escaped, he shook his head. I'm getting old. If it was me in my prime, this Allseer wouldn't escape the four holy treasures' second style. He let out a sigh as he looked at everyone. When his gaze finally fell on the brilliant void old man, he slowly said, "Old friend, are you going to be the enemy of my four divine sect again?" The brilliant void old man silently pondered for a moment. He looked at ancient devil Taagio, who had been sealed, and then at the holy treasures that were still floating there. With his power, if he wanted to act, the only thing he had to fear was the holy treasures. This old man only can repay Qinglin a favor. Since the ancient devil has been sealed by you with the holy treasures, this matter is over. Farewell. After weighing his options, he gave up on attacking. He had a deep fear of the four holy treasures. Although they were far weaker than before, if he forced the four divine sect into a corner and they began using blood sacrifices. The old man let out a sigh as he charged at the sky. In the sky, he turned around and looked at Mu Bingmai. Mu Bingmai pondered a bit. She bit her lower lip and softly said, "Let me look at him once." "Is that all right?" "Just once?" The vermilion bird divine emperor was startled. His gaze swept over Wang Lin, but he didn't speak. Wang Lin's face was deathly pale and his injuries had reached the limit of what he could withstand. His origin soul was showing signs of dissipating, and Mu Bingmai's words made him tremble in pain. This pain was revealed through his eyes. Wang Lin didn't turn around and didn't respond to Mu Bingmai. Instead, he looked at the vermilion bird divine emperor and asked, "Are you taking me back to the vermilion bird divine sect?" The vermilion bird divine emperor nodded. "Take my friends that were injured because of me and let them recover. Then I can agree to any condition your vermilion bird divine sect has." The vermilion bird divine emperor smiled and nodded. "Okay." After he spoke, the surrounding four divine sect disciples dispersed and assisted the injured. As for the alliance cultivators, they all retreated with fear in their eyes. "A lot of my friends have lost their bodies. The four divine sect will help them reform their bodies." My brother, Situ, is affected by a poison of the corpse sect. I'll take charge. My benefactor, Ju Yi, requires Qing Lin to be resurrected. I'll give you Qing Lin's body. If you need the Four Divine Sect to help, we will give you all our support. In the Demon Spirit Land, I have a direct disciple. I'll send someone to take them to the Vermilion Bird Divine Sect. These Celestials of the Alliance want to kill me. I want these Celestials' origin souls. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. He had never shown mercy to people who intended to harm him, he had always acted like a demon toward them. The surrounding Celestials didn't hesitate to start running around like scattered birds. The Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor's eyes lit up and he nodded. This matter is easy. He waved his sleeves and the holy treasure split in four and scattered to sweep the area. Miserable screams immediately echoed. More blood came out of Mu Bingmei's lower lip due to Wang Lin's indifference. Pain filled her eyes and she shouted, "Wang Lin! I want to see him. I'm begging you to let me see him." Wang Lin couldn't see the pain in her eyes, but he knew that his own pain was something that would never disappear. Wang Lin closed his eyes and calmly said, "I owe this woman a life-saving pill and a life-saving favor." The Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor smiled. "I'll find a way to help you repay the debt and make sure the brilliant Void Realm is satisfied. Any other problems?" Wang Lin silently pondered before he shook his head and softly said, "Let's go." The Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor waved his sleeve and Wang Lin's body floated into the air. When Wang Lin was surrounded by his origin energy, the Vermilion Bird Divine Emperor charged at the opening in the sky. "Wang Lin! He is my child. I want to see him." Mu Bingmei's expression was pale. Her body trembled as she stared at Wang Lin, and both her fists were clenched. "You're unworthy." Wang Lin suddenly turned around and let out a roar. He had been restraining his emotions, restraining his feelings, but at this moment, he couldn't restrain them any longer. That roar vented the hundreds of years of pain in his heart. He was already seriously injured, and this roar that was filled with hundreds of years of suppressed pain affected his mind. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and his vision went dark. The Four Divine Sect left. They took everyone. Two streams of tears came from Mu Bingmei's eyes and intense pain filled her heart. She coughed out a mouthful of blood and also fell down. The old man from the brilliant Void Realm let out a sigh. He waved his hand and took Mu Bingmei far away. In the void, only his ancient voice echoed. "Ill fate." This video will end here.